Along with women's basketball head coach Tom Collen, I'm Alex Perlman. Thanks so much for joining us here as Arkansas has finished up their non-conference schedule, starting SEC play tonight, 7 o'clock at Bud Walton Arena against South Carolina. Coach, it's all behind us at this point, and now, the road ahead is very difficult. You played some tough teams in non-conference, but there were a lot of teams that you guys, went through pretty easily. How ready is this team for the conference?
Well, I don't think we're going to know until we get out there. I think, we've had similar situations before where we've gotten off to good starts, and then we've gotten into the SEC, and depending on how tough the schedule was, maybe right at the beginning, we struggled a little bit out of the chute. And, sometimes that's just the SEC. That's the level of competition. It doesn't matter where your team is at. You're playing against teams that are fighting to go to the Final Four. So you never really know until you get into the heat of the battle. I in particular, I'm optimistic about this team. We're awfully young, and that still makes me nervous. But I really do believe this team has a chance to do something special. And, and getting off on the right foot with a win over South Carolina would do a lot, I think, for our confidence.
Right now, the Gamecocks are number 13 in the country in the AP poll. Obviously going to be a very difficult opponent coming into the Bud tonight. But how important would it be to get a win tonight? Or what could it do for your program here to just instill some confidence in this team once again?
Well, I want to tell you, I'm a big believer in athletics, and it's mind over matter. It's 80% mental and 20% physical. And so, if you've got a team that believes in themselves, and then they're going to step onto the floor the next, and they're going to have that little bit of edge to them, that little bit of ego, that little bit of confidence that they need. And in this league, you need that so bad. So getting off to a good start is without question, a crucial thing. It makes practices easier, and I think in some ways maybe it legitimizes. You go 13-0, and you're on the verge of getting into the top 25. But there's people out there that maybe just don't believe you're that good because you haven't played a good enough schedule, and all of a sudden you go out and you beat the 13th ranked team in the country, and it's not just a matter of maybe getting recognition out there, which is nice. It's a matter of your own players believing in themselves, and that's what you want, is to go into the next game believing.
Well, in order to believe, this team's going to have to play great defense, which is what South Carolina does and what you guys do. You've got the best scoring defense in the country. South Carolina's got the third. To say this is going to be a defensive struggle is probably a little bit of an understatement, but how defensive-minded does your team have to be coming into the game tonight?
Well, they have to be they have to be committed to getting stops. There's no doubt about it. And South Carolina is a great defensive team. You're not going to put a lot of points on the board. It would be nice if we could go out there and shoot 50% and knock down 10 threes. Then I think we're in good shape. But if we don't do that, then we're going to have to rely on our defense as well. That's the way both of these teams play. They play it close to the vest. They defend. They try to keep themselves in games and give themselves a chance to win. And so you're looking at two very, very similar teams.
And you're also looking at a game tonight that will be very, very important. Looking at what South Carolina does defense, and they've got a lot of great weapons. You guys have some fantastic weapons as well, but what specifically have you done to maybe try to focus on what South Carolina brings to the table this week?
Well, I think the biggest thing with them, if you look at us on paper, we're very similar except for maybe one glaring thing. They're just a little bit bigger and stronger, a little bit more depth in the post, and therefore that shows up in the rebounding stats. So for us, it's been about being very physical in practice and boxing out and getting second chance points and playing hard that way. We have to some way neutralize South Carolina's height advantage and their depth advantage in the post. And if we can do that, we feel like we've got enough offensive firepower and we're a good enough defensive team that we can come away with a win.
Should be a fun one here tonight. Really looking forward to it, Coach. Thank you so much for the time and best of luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, 7 o'clock, Bud Walton Arena, the SEC opener, Arkansas versus number 13, South Carolina. For Tom Collen, I'm Alex Perlman for Razor Vision.